Question number 21 on the reading portion of College Boards Test 3. Which choice best reflects the overall sequence of events in the passage? So if we remember what the passage was about. The passage starts in the beginning with Ken Dial, he studies animal locomotion and animal movement. He noticed that young birds would jump up like popcorn behind their parents. He then talks about the experiment that he wanted to set up in order to maybe better understand bird evolution, how birds started to fly. He finds out from his rancher that he doesn't understand these birds, that they actually don't like being on the ground. And that's when he had the breakthrough. When he let his son feed and analyze the birds, when Ken came back from his business trip, he found that birds were using their wings for downforce in order to climb up steep gradients. So that's overall what it's about. Which then, at the end, we are able to come up with a maybe understanding that it might not be just tree down or ground up. It might be a bit of both for the theories for how birds evolved, remember from the blurb. So, which choice best reflects the overall sequence of events in the passage? A, an experiment is proposed but proves unworkable. Did he propose an experiment but it proved he's like, yeah, it's not going to work? He just had to modify his experiment. A less ambitious experiment is attempted and it yields data that gives rise to a new set of questions. Is there a less ambitious experiment? He's not saying like, we're going to have 100,000 birds and we're going to monitor every day of their life. And they're like, okay, well maybe we'll now downgrade it to like 10 birds and we'll monitor every day. That's what a less ambitious experiment is, and that never happened. There was never a scaling back. If anything, there was a scaling up. We had to provide a more realistic environment for these birds to live in. So I'm not liking A. And again, what new questions? Maybe there are some questions at the end, like maybe it's a matter of both, but I don't know. What about B? Which choice best reflects the overall sequence of events in the passage? A new discovery leads to reconsideration of a theory. A new discovery leads to reconsideration of a theory. Okay, a new discovery, maybe of the way that birds like to roost, doesn't cause us to reconsider a theory. It just means that our experiment wasn't exactly set up properly. A classic study is adapted. What's the classic study? The classic study that birds like to be on the ground? That's not a classic study. It's not like they're saying, we took famous professor, John Smith's bird evolution theory experiment and we adapted it to fit more modern circumstances. They never do that. And the results are summarized. Again, there are problems with a lot of these. What else? C? An anomaly is observed and simulated experimentally. An anomaly. Anomaly means something that's out of the ordinary. Is the anomaly the birds maybe flapping behind their parents? An anomaly is observed and simulated experimentally. The results are compared with previous findings and a novel hypothesis is proposed. C is a really good bad answer because it sounds good. It sounds reasonable. It's like 80% of it seems right. But the problem with C, an anomaly is observed and simulated experimentally. What anomaly are we talking about? Anomaly is like something out of the ordinary. And there is no anomaly here. This is how birds act. And simulated experimentally, that furthermore, it wasn't simulated experimentally. It was shown that birds don't like to be on the ground. So unlike birds who follow their parents, birds in general don't like to be on the ground. So the results are compared with previous findings. There are no previous findings that we compare them against. C, I would leave because I think it's the best answer so far, but I don't like the idea that we're talking about an anomaly observed. It's not anomalous. What about D? An unexpected finding arises during the early phase of a study. That is true. An unexpected finding is that birds don't like to be on the ground, or these birds, these partridges don't like to be on the ground. The study is modified in response. Yes, then he gets bales of hay and other types of perches that allow the birds to be more comfortable. And the results are interpreted and evaluated. Yeah, we interpret and evaluate how the birds are flapping their wings and why they flap their wings and maybe the implications of that on the bigger theory of flying evolution. I like D because D hits on all the points that we care about. We talk about, like, every answer choice is irrefutable. Every part of the answer is irrefutable. It's hard to prove wrong. Did there exist an unexpected finding? Yes. Was there a modification? Yes. And were the results interpreted? Yes. The answer number 21 is going to be D. D matches up more closely one-to-one than C does. And that's, I think, an important thing to see with science passages. When you're able to identify and overlay a question with an answer, from the passage one-to-one, like things are matching perfectly in order, that's going to be the answer that you should feel good about. Not ones that require you to feel confused and to stretch it and to make yourself be like, well, I guess in this case, if you think of it this way, this could be the answer. That's the type of logic that you want to avoid, which is exactly why C is an inferior answer to D. No anomaly is observed, and that anomaly is not simulated experimentally. The answer, again, number 21 is going to be D.